Hey guys, welcome to Digit.in, and where we are today is in a facility that is going to show you an in-depth look at not only how a TV is assembled but manufactured as well. And what we have for you today with us is Arjun, who is here going to talk about Daiwa and Shinko, two brands that are assembled and manufactured in India. So the TV brands are, of course, Daiwa is a known brand, it's been around for a while. Shinko is a relatively newer brand. Can you give me a little bit of a brief about both the brands?
So Daiwa was a brand which was launched 3 years back, right? It's going to complete its 3rd anniversary in April. And Shinko is actually absolutely new, right? It was launched just last year. But the experience of our company is 34 years old. Now we're running 35 years. So we've been always a hardcore TV manufacturing company since last 34 years, manufacturing for various other brands. And it's only been 3 years when we launched Daiwa that we started manufacturing and come out in the B2C segment as well with our own brands.
Okay, and what we have here is almost your entire portfolio of TVs with us, ranging from 24 to 65 inches.
Yes, that's right.
And since you've been doing this for yourself for 3 years, but for so many OEMs for years, can you highlight a few hurdles or a few learnings that you've had which have helped you bring up this brand in the past few years?
Right. So first I would say in order to run a successful company, you need the right team, right? So since we had so much experience right from black and white TVs to now 4K LED TVs, so we know at which places what kind of features the market likes, what kind of what kind of picture quality Indian customers like, what kind of sound Indian customers prefer, and what should be different from what other brands are offering. Like there's a cluster of brands, but you have to stand out, right? So in order to for that, we have come out with white color gamut in our 4K TVs. And very soon we're going to launch a 32 inches also with a white color gamut TV and soundbar, so which is going to launch very soon. And apart from that, like the motherboards which we manufacture here are according to Indian electricity standards. The brightness, like people say, okay, our brightness is this many nits, but it has to be actual, right? And we strongly believe that even if a third party or any media house wants to test, they can absolutely come and test what kind of nits we are offering. So whatever we say in our portfolio, we actually mean it. So apart from that, we are very strong in picture and sound. The kind of speakers we use are actually designed for us and tested in our offices for a very long time before it's actually released. So a lot of these things like picture, sound, the kind of components you're using, the kind of chipsets you're using plays a very important role, and I think that only a company with experience can actually do it.
Yep, so like we heard, all the way from a black and white TV to the good old days of CRTs to the newest and greatest technologies in TVs, we are going to take an in-depth look at how TVs are assembled and manufactured in India. So what exactly happens in this room?
So in this room we manufacture the PCB. So the PCB comes in the standard form. So this PCB comes in a standard form. So this machine is the 7th machine in India, and it's a 3D AOI machine for SMP, and it's been used for smart TV motherboards now.
Okay.
So we recently started manufacturing the smart TV motherboards also in India.
Okay.
And so our capacity to manufacture motherboards in a month is 1,30,000.
So 1,30,000 motherboards, and this is essentially the raw product before it has all the chips on it.
Yes,
before it becomes
so all of
the
this
heart
is
of
designed
your TV.
as per our specifications.
Okay.
Right, and so we have our own design house in Shenzhen in China, and we have a R&D center here in India.
Okay.
So our teams work together on designing it, what kind of components to use, because all our products are designed according to the Indian standard of electricity, right? So we have to make sure, because there's a lot of power fluctuation here, so we have to make sure that everything we're putting sustains.
So the biggest question when you say is designed to the Indian standards of electricity is जब lights चली जाती है या fluctuation होता है. So all those things are factors that are not necessarily taken care of in the international scheme of things, where
Exactly,
power
because
cuts
they
are
are
not a
supplying
problem.
globally, right?
Yeah.
So they have a standard format. This
Indian
is designed
situation.
specifically for the Indian standard. The components that are going inside are designed for Indian electricity,
Okay.
right? And so this goes in this machine. So this machine is a paste printer machine.
Okay.
So why we have put this machine is, this complete SMT line is because this SMT line is actually used in automobile industry.
Okay.
So you know how deeply they have to check it because it's a matter of life and death, right? So we also consider our product as a matter of life and death because it's so close to us. So we made sure that the kind of checks and the kind of quality we're giving to the customer matches at par with actually the automobile industry. And in the TV industry, this is the first machine in India. So there's a certain format of soldering paste which is there. On top of that, the components are fitted.
Okay.
So SMT, why we use SMT is because there are such small components on the motherboard which can't be put with bare hands, right? This is why we have SMT machines, because it puts the smallest of the smallest components in it.
Okay. That is essentially what it looks like after.
After the paste, because
Okay.
earlier you see now it's all grey.
Yeah.
So this is all soldering,
Okay.
right? So now after this, it will go into this machine where these are all components being loaded. So the component manufacturing will start happening here.
Okay.
So they'll start assembly.
Okay.
So with what you saw, these are two motherboards,
Okay.
not one.
Okay.
So once it's at the end, it's broken into two to
Okay.
enhance the manufacturing
So you can
capacity.
have more units
Yes,
pushed out at
yes.
a time.
So you can see how it's looking.
So this is essentially how each chip, each component is put onto the motherboard.
Yes.
Okay. And it's all machine precision, so there is almost no room for errors, right?
Yeah.
And so how many boards do you produce? What is your time frame? Like in an hour or in a day? How do you measure?
So 4,500 PCBs a day.
4,500
So
PCBs
this
a
one,
day.
so one line and second line. This is a
Okay.
combined capacity.
Okay.
So this is 2 times faster than that machine.
Okay.
So this was our machine which we use for analog TVs, the basic TVs, motherboards. This is
Okay.
we are using for smart TVs.
For the smart
because
TVs.
components go on top also, and you'll see, I'll show you an interesting thing. There are components which have to go on the bottom also.
Okay.
So all the raw material which goes inside our TV is all ROHS,
Okay.
right? And because we've seen a lot of brands which are they're saying that it's certified ROHS, but it's actually not.
Okay.
And if it's not ROHS, it can actually be dangerous
Okay.
for,
And just for
Indian
those
households.
Those of them that are watching, can you define what ROHS is and why they should know that a TV is
see,
ROHS
it's
certified?
actually based on why it should be ROHS is because there should be no hazardous substance, right, which can be dangerous. So like why we call it ROHS is because it's lead free.
Okay.
The major substance which can affect a consumer household is lead, because
Okay.
it can actually be harmful.
Harmful for a
Yes.
household to have it.
So right from the cabinet to the motherboard to the component to the soldering paste which you saw there, that is all ROHS.
All ROHS.
Yes. So this is the soldering.
Okay.
So once it's soldered, so all the components are pasted.
And this is what it looks like after it's soldered?
Yes, after it's soldered.
Okay.
So okay, this is actually the bottom one. You can see all these are all
Very
small,
fine
very
components.
small components, and they all play a very essential role.
Yeah.
This is the bottom part. So
Yeah.
there's a top part also which we can show you. So this is the major machine which
Okay.
does the testing. This is 3D automatic optical inspection.
Okay.
Right, so your PCB, because it has to be, it's double-sided, right? So it has to go through a very solid checking stage. So this is a very expensive machine, and it checks the components from all angles.
Okay.
It's almost like an X-ray machine. So because it's 3D, it has to check the component from every side. That's why. So once it's checked, it'll give you a pass. What do you call it?
Okay.
Sign, and then it automatically gets racked in the machine.
Okay.
So once their lot is completed, they send it to the manual insertion line where all the big components like your AV sources and all those, the big capacitors and all those power supplies as required, then it goes up in the
Also,
manual
since,
insertion room.
since the checking out here is taken place by a machine and not a person,
Yeah.
there is lower chance
Lower
of
chance of errors.
and
Yes.
it will always be very precise
Very
to the
precise
T.
as per the software which is
Okay.
been enabled.
All right.
So it keeps getting racked in it. So this is the process of a smart TV motherboard. So this is only half completed right now. All the big
Alright.
components will be completed in the manual insertion line.
And also in half completed out here, we can see
Yeah,
the
so-
HDMI ports.
Yes. So HDMI ports are put in from this machine only,
Okay.
and this is the main your IC which we talk about.
Okay.
This is the heart of
The
the
CPU.
motherboard. Yes.
Yeah. So if you ever wondered what actually goes into putting out that picture quality and the
Yeah.
fluidity,
So like when we say
it literally
it's a
looks that small.
quad-core processor, it's an M-Logic quad-core processor.
Yeah.
So this is how a motherboard looks like, half completed from the SMT line. So this is the top, and you can see the bottom also. So this is our SMT. So this was our SMT line 2. That is our SMT line 1, which we use for analog TVs.
Okay. So essentially the same process, but
The same process, but this is happens in a 2D AOI machine, right?
Okay.
Because it does not require that hardcore checking as a smart TV motherboard requires. So
Okay.
it's absolutely acceptable for a 2D inspection.
Okay.
So it checks all the components from the top level, and if there is any shift or any component which is missing, it's gone.
Okay. And just to show an example, this is actually
is-
two motherboards in one.
Yes.
Like you were saying, you manufacture it in two, and then
So
it's
these are
broken into
actually
half.
4.
These are 4. Oh,
Yes.
okay, yeah, 4.
So these are 4 motherboards.
Yeah, because you can make out
Yes.
from the placement of the ports.
So once
Yeah.
it's about to leave from this room, it will they will break it out into 4.
Okay.
So after SMT, all the motherboards are brought to the manual insertion line.
Okay.
So this is the manual insertion line where all the big components like your VGAs, like your USBs, some big capacitors, transistors, they cannot be put by an SMT machine because that requires that's a very critical stage.
Okay.
So all the big components are placed manually, and after that they are soldered as per ROHS standards.
Okay.
So right here you will see,
We can see the VGA, we can
Yes.
see AV inputs.
yes,
And because this is a manual process,
yes.
and they're just placing it. So it is soldered once it goes into the
Yes,
machine.
it's solders. Like you can cover, see, like it's
Yeah.
lead-free wave soldering. So that means it's ROHS.
Okay.
We've emphasized a lot on lead-free.
Okay.
So soldering happens at a heat of 300, 400 degrees.
Okay.
So once it's out of this, it has to cool off.
Okay.
It comes here. So this is all quality checking. If there's any extra soldering,
Hmm.
they will cut it off from there. And after that, it's the quality checks. All quality checks here. So if they see that certain components are not soldered well, they will do it manually with the
Okay.
machines they have here.
Okay.
Right, so this is the same stage. So these three stages are the same where they're doing the visual checks and the missing solder.
Okay.
So after that, his responsibility is to again do a visual check for certain different areas. So because they cannot check the motherboard, just one person cannot check it. So we have different manpower to check different areas of the motherboard.
Okay.
So after this is the voltage testing
Okay.
over here. So these are all customized jigs which are made to check the motherboard, its current and voltage. So that's what we do here.
Okay.
So he'll check if the voltage levels are okay, and over here they usually do the USB testing, but we've shifted that to the further stage.
Okay.
So we've added this. So this is also voltage. This is also voltage, and the when the production has to really go at par with the production capacity.
Okay.
We need extra manpower.
Okay.
So post this, once this is completed, we take these motherboards to the aging machine.
Okay.
So we were the first ones in India to actually invest into an aging machine.
Okay.
So what the aging machine does is put the motherboard in these machines, and you're checking the life of the motherboard at different voltage levels. So this machine can check up to 300 voltage, from 90 up to 300. It keeps fluctuating every 5 minutes, and it can go up to 50 degrees of heat. Like right now you can see it's being tested at 240 volts.
Yeah.
Right, one rack is being tested at 236. So like this, all machines
Check the
check the voltage levels of the motherboard.
This is each and every motherboard
Each and
that
every
goes into
motherboard
a TV.
that
This
goes
is
inside.
not random selection.
Not random
This
selection.
is each board you have made.
Each board.
Gets tested. Like, and what is the duration for which it is in?
So we
the
usually
testing?
do 2 hours testing.
Okay.
So 2 hours testing is a very heavy testing for a motherboard. So it actually tests the life of the motherboard. In fact, the life of the complete LED TV.
Okay.
That's how we say it.
Okay. And so once you test it out here for 2 hours with voltages, it also tests it with the temperature, right? With
Yes,
the
so
heat
it goes up to
generation.
50 degrees of heat. So all of a sudden it's 50, all of a sudden it'll drop down to 8 degrees. All of a sudden it'll drop down to 4 degrees. Then it'll again shoot up to 50 degrees. So it'll check the moisture levels also, if any component is getting affected. If at all any component is affected, it will reflect in that computer.
Okay.
So there will be a red light which will blink in any of these, and it will tell you, okay, maybe PCB number 80 is not working. There is
Okay.
some issue. So the operator and the engineer will go and check it what the issue is. If it's resolvable there, they will resolve it there. If not, they will scrap it out.
And again, this is another point where it will help you check and monitor So that there is a lower failure rate of
Yes,
any product. This is
yes.
another second step that we're
Second
seeing.
step, yes.
Yeah.
So after this, there's again a testing at the final assembly stage.
Okay.
So it doesn't end here.
Okay.
So we can check 800 motherboards at one time.
Okay.
With the strength of these machines.
Okay. Okay.
So post this, we come to the other testing, which is the last testing of the motherboard.
Okay.
So over here, they're checking all sources: your AV in, your AV out, your what do you call it, HDVC keys, then your HDMI cables. If it's working well with the Tata Skies and all your set-top boxes, so all the checking happens here.
Yeah.
So you can see it's all video board testing. So these are all sources being checked.
Okay.
So all these machines are for that. If there's any issue, this is the repairing stage where they do it.
Okay.
They repair it right over there. If there's a bigger issue, it's sent to the R&D team. So this is clean room line 1, that's 2, and we have another clean room, but that has only 1 line, so we have 3 clean room lines. Together capacity is 1 lakh TV panels a month in a single shift of 8 hours.
Why are we so covered for the clean room?
Okay, so because it's a 1000 class dust-free room, so the panel, this is a very critical stage. So this is where your the glass, the open cell, which we call it in our industry standard. So we usually put the screen here, and there are a lot of reflector sheets and diffuser which goes down into making the picture quality better.
Okay.
So there cannot be even a minute dust which enters. So this is actually a dust-free room. So we
Okay.
cannot allow any dust to enter. So the air pressure is negative here.
Okay.
Right, the air pressure is going out, it cannot come from inside. So that's
Okay.
why we call it a dust-free room. And again, it's all ESD covered, your dressing,
Okay.
everything is all ESD standards. We wear caps and
Mask.
masks so that there is no unwanted particle which comes on maybe your hair or anything also, that has to be very protected.
Okay.
It's a very protected environment. So this is where we start. So before a TV actually goes to a final assembly line, so we have to first make the module.
Okay.
So the input starts from there actually. So the input room is there. So this is where they put the LED lightings and your
Okay.
reflector sheets. Post that they have to put certain reflector sheets and diffusers, which
Okay.
goes down into spreading the light,
Okay.
which together adds in your brightness and your color levels, your picture levels. And
So quite literally, if someone wants to see the LEDs behind the TV, that is it.
yes, those are the LEDs.
Okay.
So this is the DLED backlighting.
Yeah.
So these are also designed by us itself,
Okay.
based on our standards.
Okay.
So when people say, oh, the colors are so good, so so these lightings, these sheets, these diffusers play a very important role in that. Selecting the right material and the right quality for it is very important.
Okay.
So this is what happens in our R&D centers.
Okay.
Before we actually launch a product, we actually go for a thorough testing of 4 to 5 months before we actually bring out a product in the market.
Okay.
And before doing it, we always make sure that our employees are also using those TVs and we can get a real feedback from them
Real
as
world
well.
feedback.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the most important part.
Okay.
So this is where your display, your screen, which we call it the open cell,
Okay.
is actually laid. So
Okay.
this is a very critical stage
Okay. And this is where it is mounted onto the frame of
onto
the
the
TV.
frame. Yes.
And those frames, the displays themselves, are those also made out here by you guys, or?
You mean the screen?
Yeah, the screen.
No. The screen belongs to Samsung.
Okay.
Yes. So these all screens are A+ grade, and because India doesn't have that capability right now to
Okay.
have such a, because it requires a very huge investment.
Okay.
So the investment which is actually required is worth 60,000 crore to set up only one line, which
Okay.
can not even cater down to the kind of capacity we have.
Okay.
So that is a very expensive project. But it's why only 7 companies in the world are making these screens.
Okay. And after the screen is fitted, here it is just everything is being screwed
So after
into
it's
place.
fitted, so there's a certain, so this is a T-con, this is the PCB of the screen,
Okay.
which later gets connected to the motherboard. So this is how all the supply
Components fit in.
yes fit in. So over here they put certain insulation tapes and stuff to avoid any charges and any later there's any shocks or something like that. This is how everything is protected from here. And they put the top frame here, the top bezel, which you call the bezel, right? So all of this is assembled here.
Okay.
Post this, so we have invested in a dark room.
Okay.
We can actually show you a glimpse of that. So this is where he's checking everything. So he will
Okay.
check the lighting. He will check if there's any dot, if there's any dust, of any sort of thing, any substance which is followed in all types of lighting, red, green, blue, white, blacks. He'll check it everywhere, and then only it will be passed.
Okay. And this is also every model that is manufactured goes through this testing.
Every model, every model, every unit.
Okay.
So we have two dark rooms for this. One is this, and one is on line 2.
Okay.
And post this, if there's any issue, it will go to the repair center there.
Okay.
And after this, it will go out. They will
Okay.
put the serial number. They will scan it for the record purposes, and then they will send it out.
Okay.
They send it out. They pack it in a box because it has to be fed in the assembly line.
Okay.
So we have a roller system for that.
Okay.
So once it's scanned, it gets packed in a box like that.
Okay.
These boxes are recyclable.
Okay.
Then we send it to the final line. Once they're like told that the condition is not good, so we replace them.
Okay.
So it goes up to the final assembly line through the roller system.
At this stage, we have things like the physical buttons of the TV and the IR receiver being assembled on the TV. The motherboard is laid in a plastic housing and then connected to the panel. There is also a cable which connects the panel to the motherboard. That connection is made at this stage, and then the power cord is attached to the TV. Once again, at every step of the way, checks are made to ensure everything is done right. Once all the connections are made, the housing of the motherboard is covered with a shell. We normally see this as the bulge behind the TV. The TV is then connected to a power source to check if it comes on. Once the power is connected, the panels are left to run for some time to ensure that they are working properly and producing the necessary colors to give viewers a good picture experience. The TVs are left running for 40 minutes to ensure they produce the right colors and image. During the manufacturing process, all the TVs manufactured are run for a time period of 2 hours and 40 minutes to ensure durability under different conditions and ensure the TV has no faults at all. At this assembly stage, the company can assemble 75,000 TVs in a single shift. After the TV has run for 40 minutes with various solid colors, the logo which appears when you switch on the TV is installed. After this, each and every input, be it AV input, HDMI, VGA, all the ports are tested to see that they are functioning properly. The TV is also tested with a set-top box connection to see that it is playing everyday TV content properly. The audio output from the speakers is also tested. A final test is done to see that all the menus are in place. All the TVs produced are BSI certified. Once the testing process is complete, the TVs are packaged into the boxes. To ensure that the remote control and other accessories are in every box, there is a tag attached to them which is stapled to the box to know that the box contains all the accessories. Also, the weight of the box is kept in check to ensure that all the components are in the packaging. Finally, the product is packaged. After the TVs are packaged, they are stored in a warehouse before being shipped. Up till now, all the TVs are checked at each stage of manufacturing and assembly. But before the TVs are shipped, there are some tests done through random selection to see if the TVs can survive the journey to your house. So there you have it, guys. Now you know exactly how TVs are made and all the effort, nitty-gritty and care that goes into their manufacturing. For more factory visits, for more from the world of technology and anything and everything to do with TVs, reviews and how-tos, you can stay tuned to digit.in. We will catch you in another video. It's goodbye for now.
For the latest technology updates, subscribe to digit.in and don't forget to hit the bell icon.